In this tutorial, we are going to use the Service Designer to create a simple service blueprint. As proof of concept, we will then use this service blueprint to provision a Windows 2008 R2 virtual machine. Open the Service Designer and create a new service blueprint. There are several options, but since we're wanting to create a requestable blueprint, we'll select Service Blueprint. We want to create a Windows 2008 server, so select the server component and drag it to the canvas. We're now going to add compute resources. For example, select the 32-bit hardware and enter any default values for memory, for example 4096 megabytes of memory. Now we'll select a virtual guest package. We'll select our VMware platform and select Windows 2008 R2 virtual guest package. Drag a network to the canvas. Select a specific network which translates in the vCenter environment to the port group it's going to go on. If you use Quick Start will automatically create tags for you. Under QS Networks, select a management network. Every server must have at least one management network. To connect the server to the network, select this mode for connect. It starts out with NIC 0. We can select whether the IP address is dynamic or static, or if you need to assign a NAT address. Save the blueprint. Let's name it Windows 2008 R2 Basic, and let's add a description. Windows 2008 R2 Basic Server OS only. We could have multiple deployment definitions of the blueprint. For example, we could add standard versus enterprise. So name the definition according to which virtual template you'll be using. You can make a new definition, or you can copy the definition and select a different installable resource. If we wanted to, we could add an application to our blueprint. For example, the Apache application we created in our last video. Or we could add additional networks. We'd have to connect those as well. Right now, save your changes and then check it in and give it a description. To make this a requestable blueprint, open up the service catalog. Create a new service. We'll give it the name Windows IaaS, that is Infrastructure as a Service. We'll set the type as a technical service. This Windows Infrastructure as a Service is more a technical service than a business service. We'll give it a description, Windows Servers OS only. We will define the service offering information, Windows 2008 R2. Then we'll add a description, Windows 2008 R2 with 1 CPU and 4 gigabytes of memory. Now select one of the blueprints that we just created. For example, Windows 2008 R2 Basic. We can select the latest version of the blueprint. It will automatically update as we make changes. Or if we tag the version we just checked in, we could select the blueprint with tags. If we had multiple definitions, for example, standard versus enterprise, they would show up here. Let's define a price. The name will be the type of price, that is the instance price. We'll set it at $100 per month. If you want to record your costs, you can find those as well. Save your changes. Now we create the actual entry that will show up in the service catalog. Create the request definition. We'll give it a title, Windows 2008 R2. We'll give it a description, Windows 2008 R2 with 1 CPU and 4 gigabytes of memory. We'll give it a one-time price. That is the deployment charge that is charged only when you deploy the instance. This is not a recurring charge. We'll give it a start date. For example, we'll start at a particular time like midnight. If you wanted to integrate with change management to create a change request simultaneously at the time the service is created, you can define a change policy. Let's select a pretty image, computer hardware, or you can select different icons that will show up with it, and an approval type. You can have an approver required before the service will get created. Click Next. You can select a cloud services group or create additional categories. If you don't have a request definition package, you can create one. This is a group of service offerings. For example, we'll name this one IaaS. We'll enter a description, infrastructure as a service offering. Click Save. You can also add an available request definition package that is some of the offerings you currently have. Click Finish and then save the service. We're now good to go. Now let's request the service. Log into the My Cloud Services console and select the service from the catalog. Complete the fields and click Add to Cart. Click Proceed to Checkout. Review the service you configured and then click Next. Complete the charge code and decommission date field as needed. I'm going to leave them empty for this demonstration. And then click Submit Request. The My Request section appears and shows the progress of the request.